Hi everyone, I'm Emily Lay, and this is my first attempt at a video blog. I'm home for the holidays at my parents' house in Pensacola, Florida. It's a little bit chilly, and I'm surrounded by very large dogs, so if you see them in the background, just know they're part of the family. I wanted to give you all a little bit of an update on, this is Briggs, my very large bull mastiff. I wanted to give you all a little bit of an update on Laura Casey's Making Things Happen intensive in Watercolor, Florida. I was fortunate enough to not only be a guest at the first ever intensive, but also to be a scholarship recipient and attend something that really kind of rocked me a little bit. It was amazing. If you get the chance to go, I highly recommend it. There were some cool people there. Kyle Barnes, Jeff Holt, it was awesome to meet you. I think I took a lot away from both of you and also from other people there. I'm hoping that this little video blog gives some other people who weren't able to attend some insight into what we learned and kind of the introspection that we went through as a group. It was very real. It was very no holds barred. Everyone laid everything out on the table, and it was awesome for me to do that. I own a paper company, and I started it a year ago. Almost exactly a year ago. It's been a crazy year. It's had ups and downs, a lot of good ups and a lot of hard downs. And that's been something that's been a learning experience for me personally and professionally, kind of fulfilling this dream that I've had of owning my own business and bringing something to this awesome industry. I want to start off with some of the things that we talked about. One of the hardest things we talked about were what were our excuses and our distractions. For me, failure and falling are my biggest fears. And Laura said something that really stuck with me and something I've been thinking about a lot over the past couple days since the event. Don't be afraid to fall and fall often. Jeff Holt even talked about this too. This is something that everyone goes through. Failure is just part of the game, and it's in those really hard, trying times that you learn the most about yourself as a professional and also as a person. And I've definitely had my fair share of experiences with that this year, and they're not easy to swallow, but they're the most productive for me. We also talked about how great things are built, and you really see that great things are built during the most trying of times, and by people who have kind of been through it all. So that was really cool. It was awesome to hear the other stories of the other people in the room and realize that when things are tough, you're definitely not the only one that experiences it as a person and as a professional. So if I could give anyone any advice to take away from this little video and from Laura's event, write down those things. Write down your distractions. Write down your excuses. Those distractions could be anything from people in your life to Facebook, blogs. I could spend 5 hours reading what everyone else is doing. It takes away a little bit from my productivity, but I get so inspired and come up with so many big ideas from things like that that it needs to be part of your workday, but it's also important to keep those distractions almost at a minimum and learn how to streamline them so that you can use them most effectively and efficiently in what you're doing. We also talked about the people that you surround yourself with. Who are the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with in your life? That was interesting for me to write down. Obviously, my husband, my best friend, my mom and dad, and other people in my life. It's important to know what you bring to those people and what they bring to you. It's also important to note if those people suck the life out of you. A lot of the people you'll write down are going to be the people who build you up and keep you strong and sane and help you creatively. But it's also important to know who sucks the life out of you and to delete that from your life. Jeff Holt said something to me that I thought was really cool. He talked about living within your arc of creativity. He mentioned that he surrounds himself with really inspiring photographs and with people who he can bring value to. The idea of bringing value to someone else rather than asking them to bring something to you, especially as a new business owner, is interesting to me. I think it's great. I think that's how you build connections, you make friends in this industry, and you also create a name and a reputation for yourself as someone who's collaborative and definitely a team player. To me, I love to surround myself with good music, good people, people who build you up. That's really important. And people who you can be there for as well. We also talked about knowing what you're good at and what you're not, and making sure you capitalize on your strengths and learn about your weaknesses, but also delegate those things. That's hard for me. I'm a control freak, I'll admit it. I like to have my hand in every pot. I want to make sure that everything's being done the way I want it to be done. And so that's a lesson. That was something I took away. Last thing we talked about is your brand. Knowing your brand. Is your brand a direct reflection of yourself? This is something I think I'm really proud of. I started my company a year ago as Emily Lay Paper, and immediately I knew that I wanted it to be a direct reflection of me. A very simple person. I laugh at everything. I don't like fuss. I don't like lots of decorative clutter. I wanted something that was very natural and organic, and something that was Southern and traditional, and that's a little bit different than everything else that you see out there in the paper world. So it quickly took on a life of its own, and after some changing and name changing and all kinds of trials and tribulations with that, I'm back at a place where Emily Lay Paper is going to launch a pretty awesome website and blog in January, and I'm stoked. It's been hard to get here, but after meeting with everyone and making things happen, I realized that I really have put all of myself into my brand, and I think you'll find it's a direct reflection of me when it launches. So write down the things that your brand is. Write down and whittle it down to just a couple of words, maybe 3 or 5, about what your personal brand is and also what your business brand is. Those things should be similar, because if you're not excited about it, nobody's going to be. And if you don't know it, or if you're not speaking from the heart or producing from the heart, that's going to be obvious. So make sure that what you're doing and what your brand is direct reflection of you, and it's something that you are excited about. That was probably the one quote I took away from something that Laura said that meant the most to me. If you're not excited about it, nobody's going to be. So I hope that those things are helpful, and I hope that you take one last thing away from this video. Ask yourself the question, and don't just ask yourself and think about it for a minute. Sit down in a quiet place, take your shoes off, sit Indian style. Ask yourself what fires you up. Maybe you love weddings. Maybe you love paper. Maybe you love photographs. But what really fires you up? What makes you get out of bed in the morning excited? What makes you talk until you're blue in the face because you could talk about it forever? What is that? That was interesting for me. And what I've learned, for me, what fires me up, I love paper. I love people. I love designing. But what I really love is to build. I love to build a home, a family, business, brand, and most importantly, other people. I love to build up other people. I think it's the teacher in me. So ask yourself that question and make sure what you're building is built on the thing that fires you up. So thank you immensely to Laura Casey. Thank you to Jeff Holt, to Kyle Barnes, to all of the people who attended the first ever Making Things Happen in Watercolor, Florida. It was a life-changing experience for me. I hope that all of you get the opportunity to experience the same thing. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas. There's a couple days left in 2009. Make sure you make 2010 count.